Was this the time to make this happen? And does this, in your view, sitting where you are in Washington, just reflect the fact that the White House seems to have no handle on foreign policy?
It certainly emphasizes yet another area where this White House has severe problems and problems within their own party. Just yesterday in a debate, two New York Democrats, incumbent Democrats, Jerry Nadler and Carolyn Maloney, declined to say whether or not they wanted Biden to run for re-election again. So Biden has problems politically. He has domestic policy issues, and he certainly has foreign policy problems as well, which this trip highlights. And ultimately, I think we know with Nancy Pelosi. We always call her Pelosi, but her maiden name is D'Alessandro. She's Nancy D'Alessandro, a street fighter from Baltimore. And that's why when this was leaked, it was very clear that she wasn't going to back down. And she's gotten a lot of bipartisan praise on this. Mitch McConnell has gone out of his way to praise Nancy Pelosi. And, as somebody who in 2010 worked on what we call the Fire Pelosi campaign, I have one last piece of swag from it. I actually am incredibly proud of what Nancy Pelosi did on this trip. The easy thing to do would have been to fold, and she sure didn't do it.
Hi, Doug. It's Dan Murphy in Dubai joining the conversation here. Some have called this a show of defiance in the face of Chinese saber rattling and a projection of American values in the region. But others say it completely undermines President Biden and raises the risk for the United States because ultimately Pelosi has defied days of warnings from China and instead decided to go ahead with this. So what do you think personally this means for the future of the US-China relationship, now very much in the spotlight after Pelosi's visit?
Yeah, look, it's a rocky relationship, and there are a lot of issues, not just that deal with China and Taiwan, but obviously, what's going on with Ukraine and the role that China may play with Russia that are very serious questions. But this is still Pelosi being consistent with who she's been. And as this has come up, China has so often been very successful in getting American cultural figures to back down to anything that China wanted. We saw this certainly with the NBA. We've seen this with a lot of movies. So Pelosi standing tall is really not what China's used to. They usually get their way and they know it, which is part of why I think they're reacting in the way that they are. But Pelosi did make concessions on this trip. How she arrived to Taiwan, she took the long way around. She didn't fly over the South China Sea. That was a concession to China. It hasn't gotten a lot of publicity. There are still delicate negotiations that have happened through this. But the ultimate symbol is what she just said, that America stands with Taiwan.
It's interesting, Doug, because if you take a step back and look at this purely from a political perspective, I think that the Biden administration, if they can be accused of anything, it's a failure in so many ways to read the room, if you will, of global politics, right? But inside the Beltway politics, is this a win for the Democrats? Does it mean anything to the broader electorate?
It's a win for Nancy Pelosi. It won't have a real effect on the elections here. But it's Pelosi being consistent with who she's always been. This is a very important issue to her. It's been for her entire congressional career. But politically, this is not going to rise up on any level for voters, in the way that in inflation, rising crime, immigration do, which are the 1, 2, 3 issues right now for voters.
Doug, just finally, what we see now is Taiwan having renewed American backing and support, which is going to be interesting to watch moving forward. What's China's next move? Do they double down now on Taiwan or take a step back as a result?
I don't think anybody really knows, except we're going to see a lot more saber rattling, and we'll see more exercises in the South China Sea, more things that surround Taiwan, make things uncomfortable and cause a lot of discussion. But what China's ultimate goal is, or what China's ultimate moves here, I just don't think we know, except we know that they take a very long view on things.
Doug, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks so much for staying up late for us from Washington, D.C., Doug Heye. Enjoy the Manhattan.
Anytime. Thank you.